In this video, I'm going to tell you the 2 types of metrics you need to be aware of if you want to grow your coaching business to 6 figures. Now, in a previous video, I spoke about not jumping from strategy to strategy and chasing shiny objects, but also not being stuck on trusting one strategy that isn't working to the point where you're so deeply trusting of this strategy that you just end up doing the same thing over and over and never getting a result. And it's really, really important for you to understand when to actually pivot, when to actually change strategy. If you want to get to 6 figures, you have to be able to test different things. You have to be able to see what's working. So I want to kind of just explain to you one thing that you've heard before, but the definition of insanity. The definition of insanity by Albert Einstein is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And so many people in coaching businesses do this, right? They just do the same thing over and over. It might be just posting content, just sending DMs, following up with people. And they feel it's getting harder. They feel like their business is not growing. They feel like they're stuck, but they continue to just do the same thing over and over and over and wait for a different result. Now that is insanity. And that is so common, right? Like, I've worked with a lot of coaches at this stage. I worked with 80 coaches in 2025, and the amount of coaches doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not, of course, because they're insane. It's just because they don't know any better, and they don't know what strategies they should be doing, and they also don't know when to change strategies and when to trust the process. So I'm going to explain to you the metrics you need to know and how to actually identify, 1, is my strategy working, and 2, should I pivot and do something else? Because that's going to be a big part of your success in coaching, is the ability to see if your strategy is working and the ability to decide to do something else and then to test that out. So there's 2 types of metrics that you need to be aware of. The first is lead metrics. Now, lead metrics are metrics that kind of lead, right? They're the first things that you start to see. And if I was in a coaching business that wasn't doing very well right now and I wanted to generate more profit and more sales in the business, I would start working on lead generation and booking people in for sales calls, right? So that would be kind of the things that I would need to do. And let's say I had a strategy, right? Let's say my strategy was DM 50 people a day and try and book in 5 sales calls a week, okay, for example. That's not my strategy, by the way. If you want my strategy, it's much better. Click the link in my bio and you can go and get it there. But let's just say that was my strategy. I could sit down and I could do that for a week, and I might not book any calls, right? And the lead metrics would be things like, well, how many conversations did I start? Maybe I did actually book calls, but they didn't close. So let's say I did book calls, but I didn't close them. So the lead metrics would be, there's 50 conversations ongoing. There's 2 calls that I took that didn't close. I've had a couple more inbounds. I've got clearer on who my ideal client is. I've got a couple of no's from people who are not interested in a call now, but they want calls in 2 or 3 weeks' time. So these are all kind of lead metrics where, like, things are happening and I can see that I'm starting to generate some momentum and some opportunities. Now, the lag metric of all of that work that I do, if I do that week of work, the lag metric might actually be the money coming into the bank, and that might actually take 3 weeks to come in, right? It might be a case of I do all of this work, but in the first week, because I haven't really been engaged with sales activity and I haven't really been, building much of a relationship with people, and maybe I don't have a specific offer to make them, it might be that in that first week, I do a ton of work. I spend the entire week at the laptop, banging away, having conversations with people. And at the end of the week, there might be 0 money in the bank. Now, that doesn't mean that the business isn't growing or that the opportunities aren't coming or that the strategy isn't working, because there is usually a lag, and that is the second type of metric, the lag metric. There's usually a lag between the work that you do and then the payoff that you get. So often, the results you're experiencing today are a reflection of the work that you put in 60, 90, 120 days ago. And so if you feel like things are difficult right now, it's not necessarily that you're not doing the work right now. It may just be that you took time off around the Christmas and you didn't keep the business going, or you have a very manual business, and as soon as you stopped doing the manual tasks over Christmas, the business went backwards because you didn't have any systems in place. So it may just be a case that your lag metric of revenue and profit and money in the bank is lagging behind, and it's taking some time to catch up. So when it comes to like, should I switch strategy? Should I keep doing what I'm doing? Really what's important to look at is the lead metric, because that's the thing that helps you predict if the lag metric is going to catch up or not. So for example, if I'm running a certain strategy and, you know, over the first couple of weeks, it's not actually generating me sales, but it's booking me calls, it's generating conversations, it's generating leads, well then it's not that the strategy isn't working. It's just that, you know, I have to fix one of these components. Maybe my sales process is not very good. Maybe I'm not very good at delivering my offer. Maybe my offer sucks, right? But the strategy itself seems to be working. It's just the lag metric is not catching up. So I need to be aware of lead metrics and I need to be aware of lag metrics. And if my business is increasing the number of lead metrics and lead indicators, there's a good chance that the lag metric is going to catch up. So if I can see that leads are being generated, if I can see that new people are coming into my world and into my ecosystem, if I can see that calls are being booked, if I can see that maybe even I'm getting no's on calls, but I'm understanding my ideal client better, or I'm seeing where the hole in my offer is, those are all lead indicators that the strategy overall is working, but I do need to just make some tweaks. And the lag indicator is going to catch up. Now, when should you change strategy? So obviously, you know, if you're doing your lead indicators for ages and the lag is never catching up, well, then you have to figure out, like, why is it not catching up? And generally, it's not going to be that you need to change strategy, but it's going to be that something in the strategy is not working. So, you know, you need to improve in a certain area of the strategy. And a lot of coaches do this. They create a lot of content, they get a lot of attention, but then they don't actually convert it into leads. They don't convert it into sales. And they keep trying to solve this first piece and get more and more and more attention. But, you know, attention is far away from the money. The money is down here at the end of the sales process, and they're just getting attention, but then they have no lead generation, they have no sales process, they have no conversion. So they're fixing the wrong problem. So you need to make sure, firstly, before I kind of switch my strategies, am I doing everything properly within the strategy? Is this even a proper and a viable strategy, or am I just doing things? If you are following a strategy, a well-known or a well-renowned or a working strategy, right? A proven strategy that other people have proven and you know works, but it's not getting new results. If you look back and for some reason it's just not working for you because of your market, your audience, because of you, the individual, and your skill set and your strong points or whatever, if for some reason it's not working, you're going to see that in the lead metrics. And if you are not generating more traffic, more attention, you know, more strangers coming into your business every week, if you do not have strangers either following your page or joining your email list or, you know, coming into your world every week, if you're not generating leads every single week, where every single week there are interested people in your community or in your ecosystem, in your world, if you're not booking calls, if you're not making sales, then your strategy is not working. And you need to do something differently. You either need to fix the strategy or you need a new strategy. But those lead indicators, if the lead indicators are not improving, the lag indicator is not going to improve. There's no way you are making more money in your business if you're not generating leads, if you're not booking calls, if you're not bringing more opportunities in. And if you feel invisible right now, if you feel like things are not working, they probably aren't.